Hello and welcome back. In this lecture, we'll talk about arrays. What is an array? An array is an ordered list of objects or elements. It maintains an index for each item so you can access those elements as well. Okay, so let's try it out. I'm going to hop on to IRB and then I'll toggle to full screen. So an array looks like this. So let's say A is an array. You basically open a square bracket to open an array. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this is an array. This is an array of 10 elements or 10 objects. Now they could be anything. They could be integers. I could switch one with a string. I can make this Mashrur. They could be an array of arrays. So I could have the last element being 0, 1, 2, then close that. So they could be anything, okay? So since arrays have an index associated with each object, they're very easy to grab items from the array to display them, okay? Because these are stored in memory, right? So if I just hit enter, I have this array. Now if I just type in A, I get the entire array. What if I want to access the 5th or 6th item in the array, okay? Now, one thing important to remember is that the index starts with a 0. So this first element, 1, the index for this item is 0. The second one is 1. The third one is 2, and so on and so forth. Okay? So what if I want to access the first item, which is 1 of this array? How do I do that? I can simply do A, and within square bracket, 1. If I do that and hit enter, notice how it gave me the second item. That's not the first item which I wanted to access, which is 1. To access that, I have to do A, open square bracket, 0, which is where the index starts. And there you go, 1. What if I want to access the 10th element of this array? I'll put in A, 9. Mashrur, okay? What if I want to access the 11th element? A, 10. That's an array of the array. Now, there are some interesting methods we can use on arrays. First of all, I can simply do puts A, and it prints out the entire array. Okay? Each item one after the other. Now, what if I want to see if my array is empty or not? If I type in a.empty, question mark, hit enter, notice how it returns false because my array has elements in it. Now I'm going to clear up the screen a little, so Control L. All right. Just so we remember, there's our A. So what if I want to see if a particular element is included in my array? So I can do something like this. A.include, question mark, and within it, I can say Mashrur. Notice how it returns true because Mashrur is included in it. A.include, question mark, within quotes, Bob. False, because Bob is not in the array. I can reverse the order of the array. If I go a.reverse, it reverses the order. If I type in A again, what happened? I thought we reversed the order of the array, but notice how here it showed what the reverse order is, but it didn't update the original array, which is A. It kept it as is. How do I do that? How do I mutate the caller? I do that by using a.reverse bang, okay? Bang is the exclamation mark, and what that will do is it will actually update A as well. It won't just display it in reverse order, it'll actually update it. So now if I type in A, notice how it's in reverse order. If I want to return it to its original order, I can simply do A.reverse bang again. Now if I want to have a random ordering of these elements, I can do something like this, A.shuffle. Notice how it's all over the place without an order. Now, if I just type in A again, we're back to the original order because, again, shuffle didn't mutate the caller. Now, to find out which methods actually mutate the caller without the bang, you can look up Ruby documentation for it on the method itself. All right? Okay, I cleared up the screen. Now, what if I have a range like this? Let's say 0.25. And I want to convert this to an array. .2a. This is a method 2a. So it takes a range 0 to 25 and it converts it to an array. Let's try it out. Check that out. Now I have an array of 25 elements, okay? Actually 26 elements if you count the 0, because it goes from 0 to 25. Now, this is a good way of filling up an array of numbers. Let's say I want to create an array y of 100 random numbers. So y equals, I can say something like 0 to 100, okay? Actually, I want 100 numbers, so 0 to 99 dot 2a, which is going to convert this range to an array, dot shuffle, bang, okay? Hit enter. Notice how I have random 100 numbers from 0 to 99, okay? So that's a pretty useful method as well. Now let's look at some other ways of adding or moving items in our array. Instead of 99, what if I want just 10 items so it's easier to work with? So z equals 0 dot dot 10 dot 2a. Hit enter. I have 10 elements, so that's my z. Now what if I want to add 25 to this array? I can simply do something like this. Z, then left bracket, which is also called the shovel operator. So z shovel 25. What that does is it takes 25 and adds it to the end. There's another way of doing this. Let's say I take z and I want to add 30 now, okay? So z dot push and within brackets 30. Notice how 30 got added. What if I want to add an item in the beginning of the array, okay, instead of the end? Let's say I want to add my name, Mashrur, to the beginning of the array. I can do something like this. Z dot unshift and within brackets and quotes Mashrur. So now I have the first item as Mashrur. If I want to access this item, I can do Z and open square bracket 0 because it's the first element. There it is, Mashrur. Now next, what if I want to remove the last item from my array? There's a method for that. I can do z.pop and it basically pops the last item and returns it. So now if I type in z, check it out, 30 is gone. Now another method that may be useful, let's say I add a few items. So z, I'm going to add some existing items. I'm going to add a 3, then I'm going to add a 6. Okay, so now I have 2 3s and 2 6s. What if I want just unique elements to be displayed? I can do something like this, z.uniq, unique. Okay, it gets rid of the 3 and the 6 that are duplicates and just gives the unique ones. All right, but if I just type in z, notice how they're back because it didn't mutate the caller. So what if I wanted to mutate the caller? Take a second and think about it. What would I have to type in? Okay, I'm sure you managed that. What you have to do is do z.unique, bang, hit enter. There you go. And if I type in z, there you go. The duplicates are gone. Now, one of the things that you're going to use a lot with arrays or data structures in general is you're going to need to iterate over data structures like this, arrays or hashes or anything. In a computer, you have 99 numbers or 100 numbers. You may need to loop through this entire array. Okay, how would you do that? Let's say you need to access each element and do something to them. And so far, we've only covered accessing elements like this. Let's say z and then 5 to access an element in the array. But a preferred way of doing this is by using what are called iterators. They basically iterate through each element of an array and do something. In other words, they will loop through the entire array and perform a certain function on each object of the array. It could be a comparison, it could be some kind of mutation, it could be anything, okay? So what are we talking about? So what are the ways you can iterate through an array? Let's look at some, okay? I'm going to clear up the screen, Control L. So Y was my big array, okay? Now what if I want to loop through this array? The preferred way to do this in Ruby is y.each. It's the .each method, okay? y.each, and then you open brace, and then you do something, and then you close brace. Now, open brace and close brace, this signifies this is a block of code, okay? So y.each, now you want to do something to each element. Now each element will be something that you say over here. So let's say within pipes, I'm going to say I, okay? So that means each item, as it goes to the first one, I is going to be 68. As it goes to the second one, I is going to be 74. So as it iterates through, each element will be I, okay? What if I say y.each I puts I? This will simply print out the value of I, okay? Hit enter. Notice how it printed out the value of I each time. It looped through each of the 100 numbers and printed them out. Notice how 68 for 68. The next one was 74, 74. Now puts is put string and it adds a new line. That's why each entry is in a new line, okay? And then at the end of it, it returns the entire array. Now in Ruby, every expression returns something. So that's why you're getting a return of the entire array. Now let's look at a more traditional way of doing this. Control L. Here's Y again. Now let's say we want to use a for loop. So for, we'll say number in Y, which is our array. So for number in Y, hit enter. We're going to say puts hi, okay? And then end. Now in IRB, this is how you put in a block, all right? So if you have multiple lines, when you start the for, it starts the block, and when you put end, it ends the block. Now if I hit enter, it'll execute it. There you go. So you have 100 occurrences of hi over here, okay? Because what I said was for number in Y, number, it could be anything. I could say for I in Y, or for food in Y, whatever I want to call it. It's a variable, okay? Each time the element is getting assigned to number, I want to say hi. So each time it got to each element, it said hi, all right? So I'll clear this up. Now let's work with a different array. Let's say names equals, I'm going to say Joe, then John, and then James, okay? Close bracket. So now I have this array that's called names, and it has these three elements, Joe, John, and James, all right? I can do something like this, names.each do, and then within pipes, I can say something like this, anything, virtually any variable name. So I'll say food, all right? Names.each do food, and that's beginning the block, right? The do block. And I'll say something like this, puts hello, and then food. Remember, food contains the name, right? So hit enter. Now, if I put an end, it'll end the do block. Check it out. Hello, Joe. Hello, John. Hello, James. What if I want to take this a step further? Okay, let's say names.each do food, okay? And then I'll say puts hello, pound, within, pound, open brace, food dot capitalize, okay? And then close brace, close quote, hit enter, and then end. Check it out. Hello, Joe. Hello, John. Hello, James. Capitalize is a method that capitalizes the first letter. I had these small cap J on each, but now they're all capitalized. Okay. But the preferred way in Ruby is to do it this way. I can do the same thing and say names.each, open brace, then pipe, food. I can say puts hello, pound, open brace, food dot capitalize, okay? Then close brace, close quote, and then to close the block, I simply do the close brace. So it's all in one line, names.each, food, puts, hello, food, capitalize, okay? So this should print out the same thing. Hit enter, check it out. It printed out the same thing. Hello, Joe, hello, John, hello, James. Perfect. Now, this is definitely the preferred way in Ruby, is to use .each and then the block in the same line, okay? Now, one last thing I want to look at is, I'm going to clear this up. I still have my Y array of all these numbers. Now, I want to look at the select method, and I want to use that to only print if the element is odd, okay? So I want all the odd numbers from this array. How do I do that? I can do y.select, okay? And then open brace. So each item again, so I'm going to put pipe number, okay? Now, how does select work? Select works in that you give it a Boolean expression over here. And if that Boolean expression evaluates to true, it basically gets the number. So let's see, number dot odd question mark and space, close brace. There you go. You have all the odd numbers from this array. All right. So we use the select method. Obviously, you can do this with the .each method also. So y.each, you can say number and print number if number.odd question mark and close brace. It printed out all of the numbers. But obviously the formatting is off, and you can work on that and whatever. And notice how here I used print instead of puts, which I normally use to put string. All right, so that's a different way of doing it. Now, one last thing. What if I have an array, let's say p equals, let's say my, and then comma, name, comma, is, comma, then Mashrur. Okay, what if I have an array like this? And what I want to do is I want to join them, but I want to join them with a space or something. If I simply do p.join, check it out, my name is Mashrur. What if I do p.join and then within brackets, I'll put a space, okay, within quotes. So p.join, and what I want to join them by, hit enter. Notice how it took each element, it put a space in between, and then it converted into one string. My name is Mashrur. All right, perfect. So I'm going to exit out of my IRB terminal now, and then toggle back to my screen. Okay. So great. I mean, that's a lot of info on arrays and iterating over them. So I would recommend going over this video again and type out the content in the video to practice, okay? And then practice with your own items in an array, iterate over them, and try to make them do different things and see if you can make them work, okay? So that's all I wanted to cover in this video. And in the next one, we'll look at another data structure, which is called a hash, okay? I'll see you there.